Am I the asshole for turning off the dryer on someone who removed my laundry before it was done? I live in an apartment complex that has a common washroom for clothing, laundromat style. Today I did a load of laundry and all was normal until I went to go get my stuff out of the dryer. Someone had taken the liberty of unloading the dryer and setting my clothing on a random washing machine. My clothes were dry, yes, but I had set a timer for about 4 minutes before the dryer ended so I could free it up as soon as possible. I walked into the washroom knowing I had time left on the dryer, expecting to see my clothes still drying. Upon noticing the disparity I became pretty mad, so what did I do? I noticed the other residents' clothing still had 37 minutes left. They probably bought 40 minutes. I decided to open the dryer door, stopping the drying cycle, close it, and not start it. The question is, am I the asshole for ensuring my fellow resident a soggy pair of underwear after they stole dryer time from me and took the liberty of throwing my personal laundry around without my knowledge? There were like 10 other dryers free. NTA. I'd do the same. I was scrolling through it as and then this. Yeah. Like right. Don't put my freaking clothes on a washer, they ain't yours and there's other dryers for you to use. Have some wet undies. This comment is like a poem. I love it. This reminds of that college note where the guy said thanks for taking my clothes out the dryer 10 minutes after it started, asshole. Unfortunately for you, I'm also an asshole and now you'll find your clothes all across campus. I never understood fucking with someone's laundry like that and leaving their own laundry also unattended, like they expect not to be retaliated against. I legit contemplated pouring bleach in a washer when someone's removed my clothes from the washing machine and left them on the table. The only reason I didn't, because my laundry baskets were unique, being rollers with my first name on it, plus I'm not a monster who fucks with other people's clothes. Come talk to me, the monster, and I'll pour it for you, my dude. Burden me with the guilt I have no soul. I'm become monster, destroyer of clothes. First of your name, queen of the Andals and the first men. NTA, if there were other dryers free, you definitely deserve to be petty. I think they were stealing some of Ops paid for drying time because they felt he didn't need it. That's the only reason that makes sense and makes them extra of an hour. Even if the clothes were dry, the fact that the timer still had time on it meant that the person had at least stopped Ops dryer, checked they were dry, and took them out. Fuck you, it's not up to you to decide if my clothes are dry enough. And like who? Don't touch my clothes, creep. NTA, I miss the Wi-Fi machines that our college had. Online real-time timers. You could see when the door was opened and clothes were removed or long they had been sitting there. It would send a text or ML alert when your stuff was done too. That's a really neat concept. Even better if it notified you who opened it. Fancy college you went to. Must have been expensive. I live in one of the cheapest blocks in one of the most expensive cities in a country, and we have this too. Compared to other pay systems I've had in the same area, quarters, prepaid cards, etc. It's kinda neat, but not always reliable. I attend the lowest funded public university in Alabama, and we have this notification system in our laundry rooms. Alabama itself has the same thing too. NTA. Whatever man, it doesn't matter if you were petty or not. But who knows if that was some other bloke's laundry, right? But it doesn't RLY matter. If you had thrown their wet clothes on the ground, then maybe at a buddy. OFC it does. How is it right for Op to pull such a bad move just because someone was being kinda bad to him? Op doesn't even know what happened for sure. How is this NTA? This is clearly a stupid petty move from Op. Two wrongs don't make a right, man. It's an esh for sure. Edit. Calmed my tits and removed cursing / over the top punctuation. Keep it civil. You're right. Got myself carried away. But it seems no one here understands that just being right doesn't mean you're automatically not also an a-hole. You can be both at the same time. Definite esh here. Totally petty move on your part, but whoever took your laundry out early was an asshole as well. At least you're both in good company. Why was it petty? The person shouldn't have done that in the first place. Fair game. It's petty, but it's totally justifiable pettiness. It's petty BC. Op gained nothing from it other than fucking with the person, but it's justifiable because they did fuck with Op first, and what Op did isn't that big a deal, just a mild annoyance. Op did gain something from it, though. Now that person knows that at least one neighbor won't tolerate their laundry being fucked with, and in the future they might think twice about taking someone else's laundry out prematurely. Op hopefully gained the joy of never having this problem again. Or maybe they'll think that they were right for taking out someone's already dry laundry just to have that person ruin their paid for dry cycle and get their wet clothes all mildewy. Eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, etc. Esh, you being an asshole was justified, but it was still being an asshole. It's really sad how many people on this subreddit don't understand that two wrongs don't make a right. This is about as cut and dry as it gets. There's no fancy details or context, no frills. Just a simple story about someone who had something annoying done to them, so they do something far more annoying in return out of spite. There's no way this is not esh. What Op did accomplish is nothing but venting the frustration of having his clothes stopped early. It's pure spite. That's asshole behavior. It's understandable to want to lash out when someone does something like that to you. But just because it's understandable doesn't stop it from being asshole behavior. This subreddit is so fucked. How are people reading this and not giving it a resh? A does asshole thing to B. B retaliates with asshole thing to A, cut and dry. Simple. Esh. I totally agree. I don't see how people can say he's NTA when he did the same thing as the other guy who was being an asshole. What the first guy did was messed up, but that doesn't make Op's response to it okay. NTA totally justified. If there were other dryers free, even if they weren't, Op is totally justified. Op paid for those minutes. NTA no, actually I don't condone stooping to their level, but that's really the easiest way to tell them that they're a dickhead. Also, even though I think what you did is an asshole move, I would do the same and respect your audacity. Edit. Changed my judgment after you read it because that's ridiculous. His ashlery outweighs yours so much, I can't even wrap my head around it. The only problem is, dorm washing machines and dryers are notoriously finicky, so what if the other resident just thinks that the dryer is kind of broken and doesn't learn a lesson? Risky business because they could strike again. Yeah. When I lived in uni housing, they gave us refunds on malfunctioning laundry and dryers, as long as we submitted proof that we had sent a repair request to housing. Had this happened to me, I would have assumed the machines weren't working and submitted a repair request. Are you a moody teaching assistant, or are you saying you're the asshole to a grump? What the actual fuck does that have to do with anything here? If you don't want your stuff messed with or messed up, don't mess with or mess up another person's stuff. NTA. From your logic, other people now deserve to mess with Op's stuff. There seems to be a flaw there. Yeah, no, you misunderstood the person you're responding to. NTA. Laundromats are the worst in apartments. I've had people empty my washer at the very beginning of the cycle to steal the wash. Thankfully one time I went to double check it, found they had stolen my cycle and left, so I bundled up their wet clothes and chucked them outside in a -40°C Northern Ontario winter. Enjoy your ice block, asshole. Just reading this brought me such joy. Do washing machine doors not lock in the States once the cycle starts? We only really get front-loading machines in Europe and the doors lock to stop idiots flooding the room by opening doors when the machine is full of water. Front-load machines lock in the States, but most laundromats have a mix of front-load and top-load machines. And in my experience the top-load machines are cheaper. In the one apartment complex I once lived in with an on-site laundry room, all of the washers were top-load. The US has a mix of front-loading and top-loading washers. I think the top-loading ones are usually bigger, they don't lock, and even front-loading ones, if you stop the cycle, they unlock, and if you stop it early enough you don't get water spillage. Also, it was a dryer either way. I think they generally don't lock, so you can add a sock or something if you realize you missed something in the washer. Bruh, the guy was petty, and you gave him a petty little revenge in return. Why are you worrying about being right or an arsehole in this situation? Esh, but in the end who fucking cares? All that ridic karma. Esh, that's a circle of petty right there. Your clothes were dry. Move on. For real. Even if what Op did back to the person was of equal magnitude, it would be a plain and simple ish. One person does asshole thing to Op, and Op does an asshole thing back to that person. Two wrongs don't make a right. Esh. But dude, Op's clothes were dry, and his response is to stop someone's dryer when it had just started. That is not even an equivalent response. Even if it were, it would be esh. But that tips me more in the AITA direction. Someone else cut his cycle off a few minutes early, but then he cut that person's cycle off right at the beginning. That is not an equitable response. Fuck, people on this subreddit love revenge way too much. Person number 1 stole Op's paid for dryer time, as there was apparently 10 other dryers free, meaning Op is just taking his money back. If person 1 wasn't an ass to begin with, this wouldn't have happened. I don't think wasting someone else's dollar is making Op get a dime back. Your logic is flawed. NTA. Though, I lived in Navy female barracks for a few months. I'm Army. The Navy would leave their clothes in the washers and dryers for hours after they finished their cycles, no fault of their own. I started moving their clothes and folding them up on the table so I could wash my PT uniforms. I accidentally fell asleep once while I was waiting for the washer to finish their cycle and came in to find that someone had put my clothes in the dryer and even folded them up for me. I started the clothes folding craze because whenever someone left their clothes a little longer than anticipated, the person that needed the washer or dryer would either move the load to the next or fold the clothes neatly for the owner to pick up. A laundry room angel, you. That definitely must be an Army thing, cause when I was at basic and 8 we did the same, folding others' laundry and putting it in the washer/dryer for them while on CQ. NTA. I've had the exact same scenario play out in the past. We shared laundry at our apartment and found our clothes taken out early. Like you, we had set a timer to ensure we didn't have our clothes sit in a machine that someone else would need out of courtesy. I wasn't feeling too courteous after our clothes were put on display on a shelf. We had taken the basket back to our unit during the dry. Unplugging their machine may seem passive aggressive, but I'm about making a point. NTA. NTA lol. When I was in college we had free to use washers and dryers. One night I put my clothes in the dryer. It takes the dryers 40 minutes to complete a cycle. I went back to my dorm to grab my phone or something, and when I came back, around 20 minutes later, my clothes had been thrown on top of a washer still wet. I opened the dryer back up, took all his stuff out, and threw it all around, piece by piece. Some behind the washers, some into the trash, just all over. I waited for him to get back, because I was still furious, but no one showed up. Probably terrified of your gigantic dick. I want to be your friend. WTF lol. Wait, so your clothes were dry, but you stopped their clothes from drying? How is this anything other than a AITA? Because op paid for the time. And they didn't? What kind of logic is that? No, op still had the time they paid for left. Shouldn't be op's problem if someone ends their cycle early. I lived in apartments for years. My cell phone timer and those dryers never matched up on the dot. A few minimums is not equal to 40 minutes lost time. What about the 10 other free dryers? Anyone who chooses the one full dryer is clearly a sociopath. Thank you for the silver. Everyone seems to have different answers, so I still don't know if I'm the asshole.